Celebrating 5 years on YouTube as your live and interactive Sharks postgame. This is Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Saturday night, January 11th, 2020. And a good day if you're a Bay Area sports fan. The Sharks win 2-1 over the Dallas Stars, and that's just part of this whole night. But let's talk about it on Teal Town After Dark. This is your live and interactive Sharks postgame show. So do yourself a favor. If you want to be a part of the show, there's multiple ways to interact with us. Chat with us and fellow Sharks fans in our YouTube chat on the page or the app. Follow us on the social, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Reddit, of course our Discord, and of course for more Sharks content, hit us up at tealtownusa.com. Joining me tonight, it is a guy who likes to spell his name the right way and didn't provide any assists on any of the goals tonight. He is Erik Landi.
No, and fighting through the crud, of course, but I'm here, and you know what? Not a bad day. Not a bad day indeed.
Not a bad day for the San Jose Sharks, and a great night all around for Team Teal, and we will get to this, and of course not a whole lot to talk about, for the game, but this is a nice win. I believe it's now 5 of the last 8 for the Sharks as they start to come around a little bit now. Not going to get crazy. Let's be honest. We don't want to get too excited about this one, but looking in the chat, I'm looking at some of the Soulless Shadow. Dell is the MVP of the night in my opinion. Absolutely. I wish Pavs got the only Stars goal though. Yeah, I completely agree. Deller was amazing tonight. Wow. Yes, I am very happy, and I think so is Landi about the Niners. We might touch that on the reach around, but we won't go too crazy. This is hockey after all, So let's talk about this game as the and we have a super chat. Raphael Snit, Sharks are fun to watch again. Thank you very much,
Thank
Raphael.
you, Raphael.
It is. Let's be honest. When you donate with the super chat, it goes to help fight the show, help support the show, and with all the extra costs that we do, because we don't get paid for this. I mean, come on,
No, seriously. The super chat funds help fund for new microphones for both Puck Guy and myself. So thank you very much, everybody.
Yes. So the Sharks come into this, beating Columbus after a okay road trip. Dallas has been on a 6-game winning streak, going 9-3-1 since Rick Bowness has taken over for Jim Montgomery, which was on December 10th. You had Lukas Radil called up while Blichfeld got sent down to the Barracuda. But let's get at it. For the last home game before the All-Star break, 52 seconds in, and I'll explain why that was significant, but Kane takes a little bit of a high stick. I was a little iffy on that, but you do have to control your stick when you're playing the game of hockey.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you look at it a couple different times and you can kind of see where the ref or why the ref blows that as a penalty in real time. However, I was a little on the more ticky-tacky side of that call. It just seems like the Sharks are not getting the benefit of the doubt right now, no matter what, and it seems like they have to just have that extra little bit of being careful in their game, because they are not getting away with anything.
No, no. Although you have people like Andy Man saying more like that game, please. I mean, yeah, I mean it's tough, and I almost want to look at the overall stats and see how many penalties the Sharks have drawn and where they rank in the league, because it seems like it's super low, and I believe they are still the most penalized team in the league. Gee, I wonder why. Are we making up for something, perhaps, NHL? Just putting that out there. Either way, Kane takes a high sticking penalty of 52 seconds, and at 132, while Joe Pavelski's on the ice, Jamie Benn gets his 11th on the power play from Sagan and Heiskanen. For Ben, his 35th point against the Sharks.
No, I mean, it was just a really talented redirect there, and the Sharks doing, it was really unfortunate because it was a block of the clear attempt. Gaudreau kind of got in the way of the clearing attempt and just went right off of him, and then the play kind of developed almost off to the side of the net, and then you kind of just get this wicked wrister towards the net with the redirect, and unfortunately there wasn't anything Dell could do there. But the penalty kill has been pretty stout, and continues to be stout, but just a little unfortunate break there.
Yep, and they're due to give up a goal once in a while on a power play. I mean, come on. I mean, they're getting almost automatic there. It's almost, almost like they're due. So a couple more comments in the chat. Fanatical Teal Bleeder starting to make this season bearable / watchable. Hot Wheels 84. How long is the Game 7 tax? If we knew.
Yeah, is it Game 7 tax, or is it is it the Kane retribution tax? Who the heck knows? But yeah, it's from the beginning it was just a rough night on the officiating end. In that first period, after that goal, Mario Ferraro, I can remember being down low, below the goal line in the offensive zone, and Taylor Fadoon just wrapping him up, and unable to get a stick on the puck. He's basically holding up his stick, and I'm yelling at the TV like, where is the hold here? Right. I mean, I thought that going into the season there was a renewed focus on the whole interference, clutching and grabbing kinds of plays because they wanted to speed this game up. But boy, it sure looked like they had the whistles tonight on pretty much anything resembling holding or any kind of obstruction penalties tonight.
And at the same time, not a whole lot getting called too. It just seems weird how some of the stuff was getting not getting called one game and then getting called in the other, and we're talking about the consistency again. And don't worry, there'll probably be a memo sent. We'll probably apologize to Vegas again about penalties and such. But nonetheless, I mean, it's just something you just have to keep your eye out and go with the flow of each and every game. I know Baker was upset about that call, and unfortunately set up a Ben power play goal to make it 1-0. About nearly 9 minutes in, I bring this up just because of the sheer chuckles that I had. It's like Nason with probably the highest high stick call. I'll give him credit. Nice hand-eye coordination to get that little bit of a tip to put it into the net, but maybe work on a little bit low. There was a guy that used to do that legally without getting the high stick call to it. So, what did you think of that one? It's like, what are you trying to go for, man?
I mean, I almost feel like if he would have just left it alone, I wonder if Khudobin, could get that particular, get a good eye on that. Oh, thank you so much, Jessica, for the super chat there. But but yeah, we saw, I think it was in the Penguins Colorado game this evening, Landeskog launching one high into the air
Yeah.
and getting one in on the goaltender, and you wonder, okay, well maybe if Nason doesn't do anything there, could it be kind of a little bit of a curveball to
Right.
Hudobin there in the net? So it's definitely a great feat of skill, that's for sure. But there is a reason why they don't allow that, and that's just because you can't have people swinging their stick high in the air. You're going to get somebody's head clipped if you allow that kind of goal to go.
Yeah, no, no goal on that one. Again, kudos to your hand-eye coordination, but no, that's not legal for sure. Bird 7F91. It looked like the tank was sold out tonight. Was it all for Pavelski? There was also a giveaway tonight, so that might have been the case. Out as Landi breaks out the flow. Nice. Andy Man coming up with since December 12th. The Sharks have had the fewest PIMs in the NHL as well as the fewest PIMs per game in that time. So they are cleaning that up. So that's always good to see. To me we also have, to me, the fishing as a whole was reverted back to pre 0304 strike of fishing, it's called, except for the weird marginal stuff. Yeah, just like the Department of Player Safety. And of course,
the Department of Player Peros.
yeah, that's true. Jessica with the donation, and by the way, love the shirt that you're rocking in your icon, Jessica. You guys are awesome and deserve the support. Keep up the good work. Hope this helps the hashtag Puck Guy Wi-Fi Fund. Go Sharks. Xfinity, if you're watching, I just want to put this out there. Help, maybe. I'm kind of getting tired of this,
How about Dat Fiber?
Right? Right? So I appreciate it immensely. So, Chris S. mentioning not to jump on Jones, but that they don't win this game if he plays.
Look, I mean, it's been you look at who the goaltending coach and the coaching shuffle and change in general has helped the most. Aaron Dell. I mean, the guy has consistently kept the team in, especially when they were going through some rough stretches, has really solidified the team's play in light of the Logan absence. And it was something that we were talking a little bit off air on, but it just seems like the team has a renewed commitment to the defensive game, especially with one of their star forwards being out. And it's just like, okay, if the Sharks can really batten down the hatches and continue to play like this and reel off some wins here, and then add Couture back into the mix when they've gotten this defensive structure down, I mean, you don't want to close the door completely. It might be creaking back open just a tad.
So you're telling me there's a chance? Oh yeah, no, you're not wrong. I mean, it's quite possible, but you also have
one step at a time.
Yeah,
baby steps, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah. You gotta get the cliches in, right?
Yeah, but definitely the renewed focus on the defensive end of the puck is good to see. I'm still not in love with the super long stretch passes that are continually picked off in the neutral zone. I think that's again something that both Burns and Carlson have to clean up in their games.
Yeah.
But I'm liking the defensive structure so far in their own zone. I think that they're really doing a good job clearing the garbage out in front of the goals, in front of the goaltender. And again, Dell playing very aggressive. Dell, I mean, very explosive in the pads today. Especially on some of those just highlight reel and game saving types of saves. So, I think that the goaltending tutelage from Nabokov is starting to pay off. And again, That was something that we always saw from Naby was his explosive pads, and you're seeing Dell kind of integrate that style a little bit more into his game. And if you're Martin Jones, you're probably thinking, man, when's the next time I'm going to get the net? Because, as we've said before, we didn't think he was going to get a sniff going into the All-Star break, and I still think that that's the case.
Yeah. I think so. You just have two more against Arizona and Colorado before the break, and you get a long break after that. So remains to be seen what they'll do with Jones. To me, I think he gets one. I just can't see him just not getting either one. But how do you stop Dell? Richard Davalos, one of our longtime friends of the show. Sharks undefeated since Couture injured. Trade Couture, right? Hashtag not intended to be a factual statement. For sure there.
Yeah. Yeah, and somebody going into the Sharks' first goal, 15:33 into the first period, Brent Burns, with just a great redirect with the skates, but kind of set up by Timo there, and it's good to see Burnsy, kind of stringing together some good games.
Yeah, I think in his last 12, he's got 4 goals and 6 assists, and he's moving around a little bit more. Have you noticed that, Landi? He has been pinching up a little bit rather than just staying at the point, waiting for that tip, because that person who likes the tip is no longer on this team. I think it's nice to see that they've kind of stepped away from what was essentially cookie cutter for this team for years.
Yeah, I think you can definitely see it in Brent Burns' game when he brings that puck down low, kind of traveling along the boards there, and then really making the power moves behind the net. He likes to kind of drive behind the net and then kind of make that sharp U-turn to kind of put it on net with his strong side, being a right-hand shot coming down the right-hand board and then kind of curling behind the goaltender. So, it is good to see a lot more movement, especially from the blue line. And I think that movement was clearly on display on that goal, even though it was, a little bit lucky, but it was just good, sound defensive structure, and then moving it through the neutral zone, gaining the speed. I like that Timo kind of played to Burns there, kind of like a nice little fake juke, and getting it to Burns, and then Burnsy kind of just redirecting it. And I mean, Hudobin was hot. I mean, 933 coming into the night with his save percentage, so you knew that it was going to have to be something kind of fluky to get it past him and right through the wickets. So just a great all-around effort there. And it was one of those goals where it's a Brent Burns and Erik Karlsson together on the ice, and they've kind of been making that work a little bit more than usual.
Yeah, and you would hope by now, a year and a half into the Burns Karlsson experiment, that there would be some cohesiveness going on. And granted, with coaching changes, and we can always talk about the line blender up the yin yang, but whenever you want to try to get a goal, you want to get it, and then you finally get these guys setting up for the chances, and sure enough, they bury it home to do that. And you mentioned what was it? I saw it just now in the chat. Oh, David H. saying, thank you for making the comment on the stretch passes. It's not the answer for this team. The little, finesse plays, yeah, while it's great to have it, it's also, very risky as well. And I don't think you need to have the riskiness going forward, because I don't think that's this team.
No, you know what? I mean, especially with, in light of the Couture injury, this team is going to have to get back to meat and potatoes hockey. And that's going to be dump and chase. As much as we don't like that, as far as watching it goes, it's effective. Use their bodies and use their size to their advantage. continue to pressure. And we've been seeing it here in the chat, and it's been mentioned multiple times. So if I haven't caught you by name, but as far as the chat goes, the fourth line really doing yeoman's work with the forecheck. Stefan Nason really being hard on the puck. Shellman, I mean, talk about a guy who is not, he's kind of slight of stature, but really plays a big man style. Yeah. And that's what the Sharks are going to have to continue to do. And you know what? At the beginning of the season, I don't think that there was enough buy-in into that style. And I had put it out there on Twitter, and I know that some people chimed in on it, but this team was getting bullied. It was getting pushed around, and honestly, they weren't sticking up for each other. They weren't playing, in the style that is successful for this team and that this team knows how to play. And again, that's with a good forecheck. That's with utilizing those points and making the smart pinches and playing down low, heavy hockey. Yeah. It's hard. It's not easy. It's not an easy style of hockey to play. That is for sure. It is an adjustment that Erik Karlsson's going to have to make coming from Ottawa because they are not known for that style of play. Yeah. And especially being an Eastern Conference person, it's a big adjustment. But that's how this team is successful. That's how this team has been successful since its inception, I dare say.
Yeah. And that's where this team has been. I mean, I heard Hedeken mention it during the first intermission, a 4-line period where they kept getting the 4 lines going. But you hit it on the head, Landi, and I'm glad you mentioned it. But Shellman, Nason, Melker, I think that's a 4th line that does everything. Not exactly a thumper line, but it gets the guys going for the other 3 lines. So,
Yeah, I mean, and it's something that we have seen time and time again. And it's something that was highlighted by the likes of, whether you liked him or not as a player, Raffi Torres definitely was the Energizer Bunny that got the team's head into it. Manny Metaholtra playing that heavy, gritty kind of style of game as well. Scott Nickel, exactly. It's just when this team is engaged physically, the mental side comes with it. It seems like they play better. It seems like they have their heads held high. It seems like the team plays with a confidence and, dare I say it, a little bit of reckless abandonment that is, I would say, insofar as just reckless abandon, but also smart, not making plays that are, desperation type plays, but making more of the style of play that is successful. So, yeah, again, I think it starts with the body. I really do.
Yeah. And, AO kind of complimenting your point there, just by the 4th line not being a liability and able to eat up minutes, that's a plus already. And I completely agree with that statement. So a second period now, and of course at 52 seconds, I don't think I've ever seen that before, where the penalties happen at the exact same time in 2 different periods. But 52 seconds in the second period, Sagan gets a hooking call on Kane, which I also thought was a little iffy on there, but nonetheless it sets up a Sharks power play. They don't do anything, but definitely a little bit of a power play influencer goal as Patrick Marleau gets his 8th goal this season in his 1700th NHL game from Hurdle and Burns to make it 2-1. What did you take from the eventual game winner?
Look, I mean, Patrick Marleau was going to be a guy that was going to be relied upon. Again, I go back to talking about Logan Couture's injury, but again, this is a guy that's a steady influence, a guy that normally is, you chalk him up for at least 20 goals. Right. That's not who this player is anymore, but still a person that is respected, still a person that, has a lot of talent to contribute, and just playing a strong game. And I think that Patty is definitely involved. He seemed involved in the last 3 or 4 games, and so it's good to see. It's good to see him and Jumbo kind of start to finally get their legs under them and look, a little bit of their former selves.
Yeah.
So, to me, just really starting off with Hurdle driving the play there. It wasn't a power play goal, but definitely power play influenced. And, there's not much more you can ask for from the way that power play kind of shifted the momentum and really energized the team rather than take away, because
Right.
for a long time that power play was just an energy sap.
Oh, yeah. No, and they've kind of come around with it ever since, 2020 hit. And it's absolutely unbelievable how you can flip the calendar and just start new. It's like going out and eating Taco Bell on December 31st, and then 2020 comes around, and it's like, all right, kale salad it is. you know, it just seems like that, and but nonetheless, they get the job done with the non-power play goal, of course, but getting the contribution as needed. And honestly, there were just 2 more penalties. You had Fox for a hooking call at 11:31, and in the third period, Dylan takes an interference call, which I thought was a little iffy, but a little late too at 12:37 the third. Other than that, let's talk about the starting goaltender tonight, Aaron Dell. I think at this point, and like you said earlier, does Jones get in before the All-Star break? But some of the saves were absolutely magnificent tonight, and he's fighting for a job. He's fighting for a new contract. But overall night, I mean, Aaron Dell, hands down the number 1 star of this game, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Aaron Dell out dueling Anton Hudobin. Really, again, just the difference in the play between Aaron Dell and Martin Jones is down to the confidence. It's down to the way that they play the puck. I really like seeing how much Dell handles the puck, especially behind the goal line. But he's just a goaltender right now that's kind of in the zone.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because Kuhre mentioned it a little bit earlier in the game, but it's finally a goaltender that makes the saves that he needs to make.
Yes.
And the team can kind of ease the hands off the stick just a tad because they don't have to really grip it so hard in worrying about, hey, if I make a little mistake, this is ending up in the back of my net.
Yeah.
And I know that the guys love Jones, and I know that they have faith in Jones, but you could just see it after that game in Washington. The team just looked deflated, and especially with the late goals. I mean, to me, that's kind of that nail in the coffin for Jones. And I don't see him getting a start until another back-to-back, in all honesty.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how they roll this out because Dell is going to need some rest, and while he's kind of carried them on this 2-game winning streak, I mean, you're going to need to rest. We don't, like I mentioned before, Archer Zerbe played 78 of 84 games in the Sharks' inaugural playoff run. You don't need to tire out a goaltender. You've seen what happened with tandems. Jake Allen, Jordan Binnington last year, Tuukka Rask, and Yaroslav Halak. I mean, those are the 2 that come off my mind right off the get-go, how they have a pretty solid, tandem of sorts. So at this point, when once Jones finds his game, Aaron Dell can relax, knowing he put in a great effort to try to get the Sharks back into this. So we have some.
Yes,
Oh,
really real stabilizing
yep.
hand in the goaltending crease. And before we kind of go along, I think another unsung hero right now has been Antti Suomela on that second line.
Yes.
He's a guy that's just been plug and play, and he wasn't on the score sheet tonight, but putting in a 62% in the face-off circle, 3 shots on goal, and just really doing a nice job and plays kind of a quiet game, but I'm liking what I'm seeing out of him. So, for him, I think consistency is going to be the name of the game. And it's going to be interesting to see how he evolves into the player that maybe we thought we were getting when he led the Liga.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Uh, kind of just keep listening to, looking into the comments in the chat here, but you have from Pashelka, Bugner said Burns is dealing with an upper body issue. Doesn't think it's major, but we'll know more tomorrow. Yeah, he did leave in the second period early on. I thought it was more lower body, but glad that's glad. Hopefully he'll be okay and to put up with. But yeah, with Dell, it's your net, man. Go for it. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's right now it's Aaron Dell's net to lose. And just kind of going through Jones's his last 5 starts, 828 against Washington, 955 against Detroit, 963 against Philadelphia, St. Louis 885, and then the New York Rangers 828. So, again, just been inconsistent. And when you're a team that is searching, desperately searching for something consistent to, get them through a really rough stretch, you want the guy that is going to give you the best chance to win. And unfortunately, I don't think you can say that about Martin Jones right now. I think Aaron Dell is that guy.
Yeah. And have him roll with it. And you find guys that are going to have that next man up, like you said, with Suomela playing on that second line. I mean, he goes from not in the lineup to fourth line to second line, and that's just, I mean, it's kudos to him to getting it done. So definitely a good night all around for the Sharks. They win this one 2-1. Kind of going over the game really quick. 28-26 in favor of Dallas in shots. They slightly took over the face-off circle. Wins 52-48. Both teams had 2 power play chances. Dallas scored on that 1 minute and a half in. But that's only part of the story. Of course, tonight was the homecoming of Joe Pavelski. What did you think of the reaction in San Jose, and also, for that matter, what did you think of the whole video tribute? I'm kind of glad they did it again, where they did it before the game got started.
Yeah, I mean, look, you talk about, people have been talking about the Mount Rushmore of the Sharks, and if Pavelski is not on there, he's certainly very close for me. But you talk about a guy who has been the heart and soul of the team, a guy who really exemplified beating the odds, really a homegrown player who, fans just immediately fell in love with, and never bitched about his spot in the lineup, never complained about where he was placed in along the lineup, was considered the Swiss Army knife of players. You could put him as center, left wing, right wing. He didn't care. And just an all around great human being.
Yeah.
And, to me, the ovation that the Sharks fans gave him said all you need to know about how beloved the player is here. And on his face, you could tell it was uncomfortable because, quite honestly, it looked like he wanted to be wearing that teal sweater. It did not look like he was comfortable, as a Dallas Star. Of course, he's gonna try and talk to his teammates, but every time they see a little bit of a let up in the crowd, they kind of roared back, and he would do a little bit of a skate, and uh, just beloved. And so it was something that I posted out on Twitter, but it could be one of the serious miscalculations that DW made of not bringing Joe Pavelski back. And money aside and term aside, because we all know where those two items of the contract ended up going, but
Right.
just a player that encompasses so much insofar as intangibles, and he doesn't belong there. He doesn't belong there, and that has been my opinion since the beginning, and it's really sad to see, because he hasn't integrated well there, and the Sharks have a massive 8-sized hole, missing in the offense.
Yeah, and let's be real here. I mean, they had to rearrange everything with Pavs gone. I mean, like I said, you see Burns kind of pinching in a little bit more now to do it. And Laurel mentioning you all need to check out Chester Chiva's video tribute as well. Yeah, Chester Chiva, one of our longtime fans of the show, put up a pretty good video as a tribute to Pavs. So definitely check that out. So that if yeah, and it's you would want to score on us. Not getting his extension we wanted to deserve. Don't worry, he'll be back in 2 years.
Pull a Patrick Marleau,
He'll
right?
pull a Patrick Marleau. In fact, I saw as I was gifting the game tonight, there was one that said, "Hey, we'll see you in a couple years. Come back like Patty did." So the Sharks get this.
I mean,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I think it just, you just see how the offense was tailored to his style of play, and you just see how the offense has regressed, and I don't think that it's any secret that it's it's Pavs being missed here. So that's kind of been my take on it, and I wish him success wherever he goes, because he just exemplifies beating the odds.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the 7th round pick, to go that far deep into the draft and then have the success that he had is just unbelievable. And you wish him the well, except when he plays against the Sharks, of course. But at the same time, it's tough. You have to make those decisions, and at the same time, you have to get younger too. I mean, this team is getting older. You have 2 40-year-old guys on this team that it's a tough one.
And just some responses to the chat. Chris saying you can't base your team around one aging player, and I agree with that. I mean, the money didn't make sense, and I don't think that the contract term made sense in that respect. But I think it was definitely a miscalculation by both, to be quite honest. I think it's a miscalculation on Joe's part insofar as just how much a offense was tailored to him, and so going to a different team and you've seen his points just drop off a cliff. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that that's a symptom of the style just not matching his style.
Right.
And so I don't blame a player for getting the maximum amount of money he can.
No.
I think I'm a player's person, and to give him $21 million over 3 years at 35. I mean, look, the Sharks were never gonna match that, and that's unfortunate from a standpoint of losing the player.
Right.
But I think in the long term, at the end of it, I think both will kind of come to realize that maybe they should have made it work here in San Jose.
Yeah. And those times that were shared here were memorable. I mean, countless playoff goals, countless playoff OT winners. Of course, that epic speech in Arizona before the Stadium Series game. It's one of the, he's one of those guys that's up there. And man, a Sharks Rushmore, gee, Winnie Christmas. And that's so tough. You can't put you can't put 4. You would want to put 5. You would hope just to give somebody that deserves it to get some love in here. So all right. Well, with that, let me ask you this: what would be your Mount Rushmore for Sharks? I know
I would probably have to go. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I know it's tough to figure out because how do you go with just 4?
I think, I think I'd have to put Nabokov on there because I think he's definitely the franchise leader in goaltending. So I think you definitely have to put him there. I think you have to put Patrick Marleau on there. I mean, just his longevity. I think you have to put Joe on there, and I think, I think that 4th spot is really where the where the debate kind of comes into, right? I mean, you look to a defenseman maybe, although there hasn't really been maybe outside of Burns when his career's all said and done, you'll look at him as a guy deserving to go up there. But an Owen Nolan, because he was so impactful to this team, really the first the franchise's first superstar kind of player. So yeah, I don't know. I wish-wash between Nolan and maybe Dan Boyle. I'm not. Yeah, it's just too hard. But definitely Nabby, Marleau and Jumbo as 1, 2, 3, and that 4th spot is really, to me, where you can really make the debate.
Yeah, it's tough because I almost you could go Thornton, Marleau, and of course you put Pavelski, but who do you drop out because Thornton, Pavelski, or Thornton, Marleau, or Marleau, Thornton, Burns, Nabby. I mean, or like Ao said, no Urbe on no one's list. I mean, it's tough to say, so. Penalty leader Haley. Yes,
yeah,
of course.
I saw that one too.
Yeah.
Andy Man making a great point too. Vlasic's deserving of a spot to, as a defenseman. I think that would definitely be deserving. And again, I think that for me, it's that 4th spot that is most interesting insofar as the debate goes. I love Urbe. He to me will always be a cult, following kind of player.
Right.
But when I think of Sharks goaltending, I think of the 3-headed monster, and I think of the best of the 3-headed monster. I mean, there has not been a goaltender in my memory, at least, who has heard chants come down from the rafters like Nabokov. I mean, the Nabby chants have been overwhelming at times at the SAP Center. So to me, that's why I pick him over Urbe. But
although Urbe had some crazy chants at him in San Jose at the time. Mount Rushmore of Puckeye Internet. Yes, of course. Why not have AOL happen? Because it would happen like that. So with that, Landi, is it time?
Oh boy, I think it's time to get me some of that.
You got it.
goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around.
All right. It is Juno Copper Surf AOL Earthling. Oh, jeez. All right. Moving on. Come on. Bunch of games on a Saturday night in the National Hockey League. Brock Besser with 2 goals as the Canucks win 6-3 over the Buffalo Sabres. The Sabres just falling apart once again. Montreal finally gets off the schneid. Ilya Kovalchuk with the game winner as the Canadiens win 2-1 over Ottawa. The Bruins win in overtime against the Islanders 3-2. Patrice Bergeron with his 19th of the season gets a victory in that one. The Lightning on a goal from Patrick Maroon in the second period, the only goal as Vasilevsky shuts out the Philadelphia Flyers 1-0. Devils beat the Caps 5-1. Wait, what? Devils beat the Caps 5-1? What? Nico Hischier with 2 goals in that one. Okay, one of those weird ones. The Whalers.
The Whalers
Beat the LA King. Really? They wear the Whalers jerseys against the Kings? What? 2-0 the final there. Niederreiter and Teravainen with the goals. James Reimer with the shutout. Davala Singbu, lack of short house. Talk to somebody with my contract about that one. Blues 5, Rangers 2. In this one, David Perron celebrates getting selected to the All-Star team with his 20th goal of the season. In that one, the Ducks lose to Chicago 4-2. Kubalik with 2 goals in that one, of course. And the Columbus Blue Jackets shut out the Vegas Golden Knights 3-0 in Vegas. So that's a huge
Thank you, Columbus.
Yes, thank you, Columbus. Glad we pissed you off so you can shut out the Golden Knights. In the Battle of Alberta, the Flames beat the Oilers 4-3. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins with 2 goals, not enough to get it done. Zach Hassian beat the crap out of Matthew Tkachuk in that one. So earlier today, believe it or not, there was a game. And a local team won.
Ooh, Barracuda!
That's right. The Stockton Heat beat the San Jose Barracuda 2-0 in San Jose. Oh, yeah. Well, I said it was local. It was Northern California. I mean, come on.
But let's be real. Was there anybody at the game, though? I mean, because just down the street, I mean, they were kind of playing at the same time as another big game.
Man, I feel for the Barracuda, but, a Barracuda executive kind of made a little comment that, the Bay Area was a little bit of a bandwagon of sorts. But, it is what it is, man. We can't do anything about it. I mean, we have only so much income to root for our local sports teams. So the Barracuda lose 2-0 in San Jose today, and insurance goal for Brian Fruce and Buddy Robinson active on the score sheet for this one. So the Barracuda will lose that one, and I believe they play again. I believe they play again tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to say that properly, or improperly, I should say. So,
thank you, John. Yes,
John.
I'm telling you, they might have a chance.
So yes, John, Teal Town. So you're telling me I have a chance? Well, yes, and we bit it out. Yes, I know. I having a tough time talking. So Barracuda lose 2-0 to the Stockton Heat in that one. For telling us there's a
John. All I have to say really though is thank God the Sharks play in the Pacific. Right? I mean, 6 points. 6 points behind Vancouver, and then 7 points behind Edmonton for those wild card spots. So really, I mean, it's the only reason why we're hanging around.
Yeah. John McCarthy, Jake Middleton bobblehead to the first 4,000 fans tomorrow as the Barracuda take on the Heat at 3 p.m. They're also wearing those snazzy player design jerseys, black with the teal and white stripes and in the roundel logo in the middle. Looks really sharp. Get there at sjbarracuda.com for all your info. Easier for them to say it than me. So, and tomorrow, bobblehead, Frenzy's birthday. Prepare next time. All right, good to know.
Hey, but it's not as cool as those jerseys that you designed there, Buckeye.
They're pretty cool though. I'll definitely give you that. So, Sharks are at 46 points. They're tied with Minnesota, Chicago, and themselves. One more point. They're with Nashville, but Winnipeg's at 52, Vancouver's at 52, Edmonton's at 53, Vegas is at 54. Vegas has the number 3 spot in the Pacific. I mean, Calgary with the win at 55 leads the Pacific. So still a lot of work for the Sharks to get into that one. So
I mean, look, the mountain doesn't look as high as it was, just a week ago. So, we've continued to say it. The Sharks really have razor thin margins here. I still think that is going to be a very difficult climb back. And again, they're playing extremely. I mean, again, it's extremely close to the edge here. But you got to focus game to game. You got to focus from game to game. And really, if you can string together a good little stretch here, you could put yourself back into contention again. So it's going to take, again, the whole team pulling on the rope in one direction. I think it's going to take a really strong defensive mindset. And that, to me, is if they continue with that defensive mindset, especially with losing a player of Couture's caliber, I tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised at any outcome.
So 2 more games before the All-Star break, and more so a bye week as well. You have Arizona and Colorado. I think we're both under the impression that Dell gets the start for probably at least one, if not both, at the rate that they're going. But just keep doing what you're doing. Keep rolling those fourth lines. I think you have a team that can kind of roll four lines. Yeah, you're not exactly going to be gangbusters right now, but it's getting the job done.
Yeah, and all you have to do is look over to the team that they just played in Dallas as kind of a blueprint for reclamation of a season. That Dallas started just as bad, maybe even a little worse than the Sharks did, and they pulled it out. So, again, it's the NHL, and wackier things have happened. So, again, just got to focus on their own game and have, the cliches are there, but they're cliches for a reason.
Right.
It's just the baby steps, and it's just going from game to game, period to period. Win each period that you play defensively strong, and be opportunistic scoring.
And get pucks in deep and all that fun stuff. Yes.
Gotta get those PIDs.
Yep. So in case you missed anything or you want to watch this again, and again, I apologize for that, check this out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and more. So with that, we will leave you. We will be back on, as the Sharks will take on the Desert Dogs later this week. Landi, your final thoughts on where the people can find you.
Final thoughts are thank you everybody for kind of bearing with me through the cold that I've got. Go Niners, and happy Bay Area Sports Day, everybody.
Yeah.
And as far as where you can find me, you can use my first name, that's Erik, spelled the right way with a K, and my last name, Landi, that's Landi, on all of the social media garbage.
I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and the Instagram. As Ice Cube would say, today's been a good day.
That it has.
Yes. So we'll leave you with that. You can hit us up on the social media. Please subscribe down below or to the side. We'll be back with you later this week as the Sharks take on the Desert Dogs and Avalanche. Hit that subscribe button. Check out our previous content. And until later this week, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Have a great night, everyone.